So we'll just give it a couple of moments. So welcome to everybody who's joining us. Happy Tuesday. Hi, Megan. Hi, Kristine.
Hello.
I'm excited for your presentation today.
Thank you.
All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Joanna, I'm the Executive Director of GSN Planet. We're here today in our Zoom room with Megan, who is, as usual, manning the control booth and making sure everyone behaves. And my dear friend and colleague, Kristine Huffman, who we have just been discussing that we've known each other for 27 years, which really just feels like a long weekend. And really excited to have her today here to kick off this Revitalization 4-part series that is a partnership between GSN and Hutchinson Consulting. As most of you know, we are partnered with Hutchinson in the launch of our job board, which is live and available on the GSN website. And Kristine and her colleagues have come up with a 4-part series to really talk about what's happening in the world of work and new ways to look at things that are happening and what you can do in your own lives to sort of restructure, update, adapt, and move forward in this new sort of reality that we live in. And I want to just tell you a little bit about Kristine. You know, aside from her and I know each other for a very long time, Kristine has, 30 years of experience and really incredible experience in hospitality and human services, including providing leadership, staff training, program development, and brand direction for Canyon Ranch, which is where we met, and Miraval and Travasa Resorts. She is a member of the iSpa board, and she acts as a strategic thought leader and mentor for individuals seeking to expand programming into the wellness area. Kristine worked at Canyon Ranch for 16 years in several management capacities, and she was the health and healing director who brought together and worked with one of the most incredible multidisciplinary health and healing teams in the world. During her tenure, the resort won many awards, including Best Spa in the world. And I'm just really thrilled that she's here today, and we're going to learn a little bit from her. And welcome. Happy to have you, Kristine.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I'm thrilled to be and honored to be here. I love your organization. I've managed to go to a couple of your retreats and always love them. It's great being around like-minded people. So it's great industry, great organization. So without further ado, I think I'm going to share my screen here and get going.
Okay.
Everybody has such valuable time, so want to go ahead. And we practice this, so hopefully it's going to work great. So Hutchinson Consulting, just a moment about that. The 4-part series we put together really brings together the multifaceted team that we have. Hutchinson Consulting is probably known best for its recruiting work, but between the three of us, the three partners, Carol Stratford, Michael, and I, we really cover all the bases. Between us, we have over 75 years of experience, and as Joanna mentioned, we all were real boots on the ground operators, from being CEOs, GMs, DOMs, and so we have that kind of practical experience. Michael Tompkins and I both have experience as practitioners. I did behavioral health services, and Mike is a massage therapist. So we kind of know the business from both sides. And so our real life expertise helps us to understand the business, your business, and help give you real solutions. So in this series, what we hope to have you do is kind of look at your business or yourself as a business, a brand, and how are you going to pivot in this new marketplace, really. So today's agenda, what I'm hoping to do in my short time with you is plant some seeds to help you think about the possibilities. Michael and Carol will take it kind of some of the next steps over the next 4 presentations. So the agenda today, I'm going to talk a little bit about evolve or die and what's up with our industry. We'll look at menu and kind of how I look at menus, and I call it Kristine's rule of pie. I love to bake, so I like using baking analogies. And then talk a little bit about the opportunities to pivot in the industry. So if you remember this adage, you know, if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always gotten. I think it's attributed to Henry Ford. And so, you know, you look at that philosophy, is that right? So you can continue to get what you've always gotten? The answer is wrong. Actually, and I'll use kind of the industry standard as an example, in the ice industry. You know, ice was big in the 1800s. They actually would cut blocks out of frozen ponds and then send them all over the world. Then they figured out how to refrigerate and make ice. And so they still would make ice and ship it all over the place. But then there was another phase where we now have refrigerators and freezers in our own homes. And so you know, in the 1900s, there were over 700, almost 800 companies registered in the ice industry, and really only 3 of them exist today. And so, you know, when you look at the success of those 3, how did they make it? And they had to pivot or evolve, or the business would melt. So again, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. Not really. The answer in this market, you'll keep getting less and less until all your profit and savings melt away. So you really need to take a hard look at where is the business going next. And so I thought it would be helpful to look at some of the things we're seeing out there in the industry that are kind of cooling or challenges in our business. One of the things, especially right now as people are uncertain about income, is belt tightening. You know, the spa industry is also, you know, often referred to or thought of as a luxury versus a necessity. And the industry needs to be better at getting out the benefits of partaking in our services versus taking pharma. Pharma does a great job at getting out, you know, pushing their pills to make us feel better. We don't do so well at pushing out the data and that kind of information. The second huge thing, the writing has been on the wall for this for years and years, even pre-COVID. Labor is an issue in our industry. The supply is low now. The pipeline is even lower. The massage schools are really suffering. People aren't signing up to go into the industry. And even at that, the labor costs are really high. So as a ratio to revenue, there's kind of a poor ROI with a lot of the spa services just because you have to pay so much out in wages. You know, those 2 factors combined, you know, make the workforce issues huge. And we need to actively address these workforce issues. I know that, you know, being on the iSpa board, I know we're trying to be all over it, and beauty changes lives. We're trying to run initiatives, but we all need to put our heads together and address this labor issue. The next thing that's a challenge is that automation is available that can replace storefront delivery systems. So it's hard to, right now, especially drive people to come for in-person stuff, get them out of their homes these days. And there's lots of online and in-home services that can compete with what we have to offer. And then I just put COVID-19 here because we know that it's impacting both the supply and demand. So we have to address these things and look and read the writing on the wall. But there are good things happening in our business as well. Just recently, I had the opportunity to join the Wellness Association's workshop that shared some information from the Euro data. And they completed a study in January and February, And, so this is pre-COVID data, and they did a generational viewpoint on how do you think about health, how do you think about stress, et cetera, et cetera. And so the reports came back that over 61% of the consumers from all generations are widening their definition of health to equal that mental well-being is the number one definition of health, which I think is really it's interesting. It's not that people are trying to avoid disease or look better, or it's about mental well-being. So we need to capitalize on that. That combined with the fact that over 50% of the consumers reported that they have moderate, high, or extreme stress levels. And remember, this was pre-COVID. You can just imagine what that number would be now. So that we need to really be all over, because we have ways of dealing with that. The other thing, to compete with the at-home stuff, loneliness and social isolation has become a huge health risk. So again, we have the ability to bring people together in our spaces. The next thing that I think is really interesting that I'm kind of fascinated with and have been for years is this whole idea of biohacking. And if you don't know what biohacking is, it's manipulating your physiology to improve yourself. And, if you look at a really easy example, drinking a strong cup of coffee in the morning is biohacking. You're pepping your system up and you're, using your physiology to your benefit. But there are lots of things happening in that world today that are fascinating and interesting and should be embraced by us. So again, we have the means to address these issues. And, the other positive thing that I've been hearing from some of my colleagues is that spas that have been able to open have seen great demand. So we know there's still demand out there. We just have to think about how we're going to work with that. Okay, so here's a pie. I have my rule of pie. So when you're thinking about your menu, I think of pie. And this represents consumers' preference for Thanksgiving pie. So when you look at pie, when you look at this pie, I look and I'm thinking, okay, your menu. Use it as an example to think about your menu. I look at this menu and I say, gee whiz, strawberry pie, 2%. If I'm making strawberry pie for 2% of my consumers, why am I bothering? If I took this and said I add blueberry, strawberry, and cherry, and maybe have multi-berry pie, I'm at least getting that group together. So I'm not expending resources on 3 different kinds of pies that I could be having one kind of pie to address. If I combined pumpkin pie and sweet potato pie that are really very similar in flavor, and would be likely if I didn't have sweet potato pie, somebody would buy the pumpkin pie instead. So again, the point I'm trying to make is don't compete with yourself. Look at your menu, see what you have on your menu that's competing. What is your most popular kinds of pie? So here's some rules of pie. You have to know your customer. What kind of pie do they like? What are your top sellers? What are they spending money on now? That's where you need to focus. You need to know how much will they spend on pie. What is the limit? You need to do a market study and see, what is their tolerance if you want to increase your price. What other things do they like that may go with pie? I mean, think about McDonald's. One of their most successful campaign was just having their cashier ask the simple question, would you like fries with that? And they saw a huge increase in business. And so I think, we need to think more about that and train our practitioners to really go for that ice cream that might be on the pie and think about what is an upsell, offering upsells with services that may go with the services that are really popular. And then how much would they spend on a whole meal? Let's think about, widening this out. So if this pie you're seeing here represents your massage menu, there might be a different pie that represents skincare. There might be a different pie that represents stress management or performance optimization or something else. But think about how much would they spend on a home meal, and how can you capitalize a little bit on that and offer things that complement the rest of your menu. And then what would make them want to bring some pie home? What are the retail opportunities? And the bottom line here is don't compete with yourself. Get a bigger pie. Don't just slice it thinner. So get rid of those 3 different kinds of pies. Get rid of that other, because only 2% are buying that. You're expending a lot of resources. So really consolidate your resources and sell what's popular and get rid of the rest. When you think about updating your menu, you need to look at KPIs and ROIs. If you don't know yours, you're in trouble. It's way more than we can get into today in the next 15 minutes. So if you need an introduction to this, please feel free to reach out. But you need to know, how much does it cost to make that pie? And how much are you selling the pie for? Do you cover your expenses? The flow through minimum, if you're considering all the expenses that go into providing a product, including the building operations, what does it cost to be in the space? Your flow through at the bottom should be at least 30%. And if it's not, you're going to be in trouble. And then, the numbers 4 and 5 here, upgrades, ways to grow your pie. How can you get either thicker slices from your pie or a bigger pie with your menu? So really take a hard look at your menu and eliminate the losers and redundancies, and then add things that are complementary. Now, other things to look at when you're looking at enhancing your offerings and offering a larger variety of services that complement what you have. For convenience, I broke this into 4 categories: fitness, spa, healthcare, and mental well-being. And kind of grouped services around that as a continuum for wellness. There are many different models, but these are some things that we'll consider. And I'll go over each of these areas and some opportunities in each of those areas next. But I think it's really important, if you're thinking about adding some wellness services, or if you're a practitioner thinking about where do I go with wellness to add that to my own skill set, what fulfills your mission, vision, and values? One of the things I always do with my customer first, when they say that they want to add wellness to their program of any kind, I always have to really delve deeper into that and help them define what wellness means for you. What do you mean when you say that? Is it nutrition? Is it medical? Is it fitness? What does wellness mean, and how does that work with your current mission, vision, and value system? Looking at who are your customers and what do your customers want? Now, these 3 things, Carol is really going to go into in more depth in her workshop on refreshing. She'll be looking at branding and trying to figure out how to refresh your brand and see what better for program expansion for you. So these are some things she'll explore with you, but start thinking about that, to help you guide where you're going to insert yourself here. And then you also need to look at what kind of resources you have, from the most important human resources. What is your facility like? What's the environment? What kind of IT do you have? And what kind of money do you have to spend? And so, looking at that resource development, Michael Tompkins is going to really delve more into that during the Reorganize presentation on October 20th. So, these points, my partners are going to cover in more depth, but start thinking about it. where are some opportunities for you to increase, offer a wider range, a full meal to your guests. So in each of these areas, we'll explore for a few minutes upsells and add-ons, ways to, get more out of a service. Looking at what I've been calling hands-free touch. This hands-free touch allows you to, in the world of COVID, it's attractive because it allows for greater safety and security and disease control. But the other thing is with there's a whole segment of people out there in the spa world who don't like hands-on work for whatever reason, whether it be religious or trauma or whatever. They don't like hands-on work. So some of these touch-free devices can actually help attract a different market or a new market. They also tend to be much less costly to operate once you get them. Looking at additional one-on-one group in-person services and activities, looking at technology-driven services, looking at content-based services, lectures and workshops, and looking at, remote. How can you do remote virtual services? We've all been learning a lot in that arena of late. And then memberships and subscriptions. How can you take advantage of that? So first, we'll look a little bit at the spa world. Again, this hands-free touch, I think, is really important thing to look at. These automatic devices, you can operate with an attendant. Some of them, a trained therapist may add on to an existing service. So for example, up in the upper left-hand corner, I have the Theragun, which is used now as an upgrade in many massage therapy services. And it does dual duty, really. It helps the massage therapist kind of save their hands. And it also offers an opportunity to get an upgrade and charge a little bit more for a service. I have the Saluma device here for a facial at the end of a facial. What we need to do is select things that can be add-ons and then teach our therapists to ask the question, would you like to add some infrared therapy to your massage? Add with your sore back. Would you like to boost your collagen with your facial? And then, add on that ice cream to the pie. There's also, I have a picture of some devices that are automatic where you have an attendant, get them in position, push the button, and then they go. And just a little report here, both of my partners last weekend visited kind of a hands-free spa in last weekend. It's a new model, and they wanted to check it out. And both of them did several services, and they're priced around $50 each, and they each did a bunch of them. But they both reported that Michael said that if any of you know Michael or have been following him on Facebook, he's been going through a stressful move and has been physically very active, moving stuff around. And he said that he's like a baby. And then for the rest of the weekend, he felt great. He felt more rested and refreshed than he had in weeks. Carol drove for 4 hours to get to the spa and then drove home for 4 hours. She said when she got there, she had really extreme hip pain from sitting so long. She said at the end of her treatments, that pain was gone and it did not come back, even though she had to sit 4 hours going home. So again, a lot of these things have great efficacy and great results, and could augment or grow what your offerings are. and get a better ROI. Mental well-being, this is one area that I think is a huge, huge opportunity for spas. With over 50%, going back to one of the first slides, with over 50% of people pre-COVID saying that they were experiencing moderate to extreme stress. This is an area where we could help them a lot. And so, what I would look for here is opportunities for your hands-on therapist to gain other skills. I've said for a long time, we need to find ways to extend that career span for hands-on therapists. It's a tiring profession. And so if you can train them how to do relaxation services, teach them how to do customized meditation, teach them how to do hypnotherapy, teach them how to do biofeedback, those kinds of things. You don't need a license to do those things. There's no medical regulations about doing those things in your spas. You want to do them with quality and you want to have a good product, but they could be a great way to extend a career span for someone and give them a little bit of variety in their work days. I think one of the companies that I did some work for that did a fantastic job of this was the Chopra Center. They, in their Perfect Health program, they selected many of their massage therapists who did the Ayurvedic body treatments to be Ayurvedic coaches. So they gave them training on life coaching. And so, half of their day was doing hands-on service. The other half of their day was doing coaching, which was a win-win for everybody. So, look for those opportunities. Again, going back to add-ons for existing services, you could add on a virtual reality experience or hypnotherapy experience to one of those tables I showed you that maybe has an automatic massage table. You can put a headset or an eye set on for VR that accompanies that helps people with relaxation, et cetera, et cetera. Bringing in collaborators to provide some workshops and lectures. You can even do some customized, do some white label. One of the organizations that I'm very close to physically is Kripalu. And Kripalu is offering right now, did a pivot to their business, and they're doing some amazing work with online experiences. And they're providing kind of a white labeling system where you can get customized content for your spa or your facility or organization that you can brand, but they provide the expertise and create the experiences for you. So there's lots of ideas here in this arena alone. Looking at the fitness area, I mean, many spas and resorts have the fitness component. Some of the things I think of here, again, I think of the same thing I think of with spa. What are some add-ons that don't require additional labor? What can be operated by people that I can, frankly pay less? Maybe it's a career trajectory for them, as they're going to massage school or going to school to be a fitness trainer. Maybe they can be a technician first. But the key here is doing prescriptive programming that encourages regular usage. So, up in the upper left-hand corner, I have an in-body machine that looks at body composition. So you might do that. You might do a Mullick test. You might do a strength and agility testing, functional fitness evaluation. And then part of the prescription might include some of the other devices we see here. The top one is oxygen enhanced exercise that really for athletes really helps with peak performance. The second thing down there that looks kind of funny with it's sort of like a vacuum cleaner on the end of that machine. But what that really is it's a machine that does adaptive exercise. So it's constantly measuring what's going on with your muscles, and then it's changing your program depending on where your muscle is. So adaptive exercise systems. Or the other thing I have here is the M Sculpt that, builds core body strength and, for that six-pack abs. And so all of these things, you can't just one and done. You have to do regularly. And so, even if you just charge a little bit for each, 15-minute session, you can have recurring revenue, which is an important and really key thing in your menu. Looking at retail products that go with stuff. And then, we've seen a huge pivot in this industry with virtual services, custom apps, proprietary downloads. I'm showing TechnoGym's app here, the My Wellness app, which really helps you track exercise and keep in touch with your clients. So I think, that's a really, there's a lot of opportunity in the fitness world as well. And then there's always a more complicated area to add, but if you can add it, the ROI on a lot of the medical aesthetics and healthcare services can be quite good. It's tricky because this is one area that's heavily regulated, and the regulations really are state dependent. But in many states, you can have a contracted medical director who may do like a 15-minute evaluation, annually to get approval to get, injectables or to do IV therapies or something like that. And then you can have a technician or an RN actually perform the therapy in your facility. So again, that works in some states, it doesn't work in other states. So you really need to depend on it, to look at that carefully. And likely get some assistance getting this set up. But, the IV therapies, there's a huge profit margin here if you do that right. Hormone replacement therapy, I'll self-disclose here. I drive 3 hours to get my hormone pellets. I used to be able to get them locally, and the place that did it during COVID shut down. So I desperately searched all over the place to find someplace. It's a 15-minute service to get this done, but I am willing to drive that far and pay $600 to get those hormone pellets because they make me feel so much better. So think about, some opportunities here and somebody you can collaborate with or bring on to help you with this. So just in the final few seconds before we open it up to questions, just talking about next steps. Again, really look at your pie. Examine your menu, eliminate the losers, enhance the winners, embrace new opportunities. There are a lot of them out there. Examine your business model. Really look at your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and your return on investment, your ROI. Really examine that and see if there's something that needs to be done to make your business have a better flow through. So it's sustainable. Sustainability is really a key issue so that you have some longevity. And then, you need to evolve into a 22nd century spa or die, frankly. The olden spa days need to change. We need to change our viewpoint of what a spa is and expand that into something that's more modern. And then if you need help, call Hutchinson. One of the things that I'm inviting you for is, just call me. We usually do the first 30-minute consultation for free. You may not need our help, but we can discuss it with you and discuss some of the possibilities and help point you in the right direction. So my contact information is right here, or you can reach me through Greenspan Network. They'll send the information over. But at this point, I'll stop and open it up for any questions.
All right, thanks, Kristine. That was great. I'm wondering if I think we do have a few questions. It's Philippe from Universal. Hi, Philippe.
Hi, Philippe.
He is saying more people want spa services at home. How can spas respond to this trend?
Yes, I think that's a great question, Philippe.
Great question.
I think more people, if you look at retail opportunities, some of these devices you can sell to your customers, train them how to use them, and that's a win-win. And then look at how does your menu complement what they might be doing at home. So, maybe for some of these things that I said you need to do regularly, maybe some of that happens at home, but, once a month they come in for a full facial or something like that. So, you just look for things that are like the frosting on the cake or the ice cream on the pie that complement what you're doing, so that people don't have to come as often.
And one of the things you mentioned during your talk was about therapists being cross-trained, right? And you gave the example of the Ayurvedic. Are there other sorts of things that therapists can be cross-trained into? Because I think that's a really great piece of advice.
Absolutely, yes. I think there are different opportunities depending on, where a therapist's interests lie. So again, looking at what does wellness mean to them and what might be interesting to them. I think some of the things that I look at with this, and that I found very valuable in my practice when I was a practitioner, was things like heart math, learning heart math, biofeedback, and coaching was really incredible. They have a great training program. Again, taking advantages of some of Kripalu's training resources to train yourself how to be a meditation coach. And doing, one of the services we used to do at Canyon Ranch when I was a practitioner is we would do hypnotherapy sessions, and we would record a personalized meditation experience. So
Right.
we do an intake, find out what colors relax somebody, what sounds, what smells, and then we would custom create those. Again, you don't need to be licensed to do that, and it's very complementary with an esthetician or a massage orientation to do those kinds of things.
We do have a question here from Liz Chapman Bragg. Due to COVID, we are seeing more work from home. How is this affecting spa labor? And are more opportunities available moving towards work from home or a hybrid for spa management professionals?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And I wish I had a solid answer for that. I think, again, I think that workforce thing is such a challenge. And, I would invite those of you who are interested in exploring this and who have ideas in this, to really, join the efforts with iSpa. We have work groups that are working on these issues. So, I think, yes, there are hybrids where more people are doing fewer services, coming in for shorter days, or, 3 days a week instead of 5 days a week, just to kind of reduce the impact of being, in public a lot. So I think there are I'm hearing a lot of great solutions. And again, I think some of the town halls that iSpa has done with spas that have reopened, I think there's some great information there that you could listen to. They offer them on their website to listen to again.
Great. Anybody else? Questions, comments? Nope. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you for that talk. That was really great. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the rest of your colleagues in the coming weeks on their ideas, and really appreciate this opportunity to collaborate. So thank you.
Likewise. And again, just extending that offer to anybody, just reach out with questions. I'm here for you. And, you know, understand what you're going through, and anything I can do to help the industry grow, I'm here.
Great, great. Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thanks, Kristine. Thanks, Megan. We'll see
Bye.
everybody in a couple
Bye.
weeks. All right.
Bye-bye.